Dover Community Radio, here to present you with local music and news.
This is Terry Cleaver here reporting for Dover Community Radio here on Saturday the 11th of June 2011 here at the Western Heights Open Day. Here with me are one of the re-enactors at the event, and you are?
James Hinton. I'm a private with the 79th Cameron Highlanders.
And what exactly are you doing up here today, James?
Well, we're part of an event to the open weekend here at the Western Heights, and we're Napoleonic reenactors, and because the fort was built here in 1806, we're sort of bringing a period of living history for all the spectators and people who come for the day.
So you got a fantastic uniform on today. Please could you describe some of it for our listeners?
Well, yes, basically in the Napoleonic Wars, the main British infantry were redcoats. They wore redcoats, and basically they were just cannon fodder. You had to march in line. You were very tight discipline, highly drilled unit, and even you saw a cannon coming towards you, just stood there and you had to take it. People didn't even duck. So we wore the red coat, and as because we're a Highland regiment, we've got the Cameron kilt, which we wear, and we wear what's known as a feathered bonnet as well.
And what are the colours you've got on the feathered bonnet? The red and green, is that significant to go with the uniform?
It's just part of the what was sort of when it's formed in 1793. It was just what the colours that they decided to have to stand out from other Highland units.
So what would have your daily routines been?
Basically, if you're on campaign, it would have been drill. What food you could get would be rationed out, and depending what the orders were, if you're on camp, a lot of the time it was the Peninsula Wars, which was before Waterloo, and it's basically trying to get the French out of Portugal and Spain for about 5 or 6 years.
So you would have been very active out in the European areas then? Yes,
we're very active. Either fighting. There weren't that many battles, but there's also skirmishing going on, and there was building. Wellington had some huge fortifications built in Portugal, Torres Vedras, and some of it would have been building that. There was a huge retreat in the winter of 1809 to tell icy mountains, and a lot of people died in that, so it's a lot of hardship. It's either the blistering sun of the peninsula or the terrible cold.
So you would have been wearing the same uniform in all these different conditions, would you?
Yeah, I just had one set of uniform. I mean, in fact, some of the kilts just fell to bits, and I had to make trews out of them or just find what they could. And people wearing all sorts of stuff. It's a hard time, it's a hard life.
It certainly sounds it. So you've got 2 tents here as well. What are they recreating? Are they recreating a camp that you would have stayed at?
Yes, we're just sort of like a living history, having a period of tents, and just to let people see what it was like living at the time.
I see you've got a gun here. What type of gun is that, and how would it have been used?
This is a Brown Bess musket, and it was sort of patented, used from about 1750 to 1850, and it wasn't even a precision weapon. It was just used to fire a volley. As I said, the redcoats were cannon fodder, and you'd load it, and if you're lucky you could fire 3 times a minute. You were lucky you could fire, and it is basically just luck. If you could fire, there are loads of things that could go wrong with it. You've got a frizzen in which you put a small amount of powder, which then with a flintlock ignites a bigger powder in the main charge. And if it is raining, then you would be lucky if it fired, and if the powder got damp, in bad conditions, you were lucky to get a good shot. That's why it was used in volleys. You'd fire a load of lead just flying at the enemy, and just hope it would obviously hit home.
Crikey, it's very dodgy being one of you then.
I mean, at the same time, I don't know if you've heard of Sharp, but the 95th Regiment, they were had Baker rifles, and they were the opposite of what we were. They were actually trained as riflemen to actually hit precise targets, and they would skirmish ahead, and get intelligence about where the enemy were, and they could actually sort of take pot shots and try and get generals and what have you.
So you mentioned earlier about being stationed in Portugal. Would that have been similar sites as the Western Heights?
Where there weren't fortifications, it would have been like living in camps this, camps, or even sleep in the open. It was there was no stability about where you were. I mean, they'd put a kettle on to try and make tea or something like that, and you could find yourself under attack and just have to abandon camp. It was a very difficult life.
And personally, why do you enjoy reenacting the role?
It just takes you away from your daily routine, your daily grind. When you do this, you just totally forget about the other life, and you just get involved in what it was like. And we do a lot of very authentic drill. It takes some time to get used to it, and just firing the weapon. It looks very well choreographed when everyone does it.
So are there any other events you're doing locally other than the Western Heights this weekend?
Not locally, no. I mean, next week we'll be in Waterloo in Belgium, and that's the biggest event of the year. And that's building up to 2015 with the bicentenary, and that's going to be absolutely huge. That
sounds fantastic.
I mean, I was there last year, and there were about 4,000 troops on the field, and it was just amazing. There was a line of French infantry, and when they all fired, it was just to see that, witness that, it was breathtaking.
So is that one of your most favourite events that you do then?
It is, yeah. It is. I enjoy it. It's very tiring at the end, but
I bet it is. So how can our listeners find out more information about your organisation?
Well, you can look on the Napoleonic Association website for other units. There's quite a few different regiments, and like I said, they'll join up at Waterloo. Or just look on the 79th Cameron Highlanders. You'll see probably a link to our website, and you can read all about all our different what we do. We have a lot of fun. It's not always totally serious, and we have a good fun in the evening, so it's enjoyable.
And finally, what would you say to someone who's interested in joining?
Get in contact with us. Just look at our website, the 79th Cameron Highlanders .org, and there's a link to emails or phone numbers, and come and join us.
Thanks very much, James. That's great.
Dover Community Radio, here to present you with local music and news.